This is the last stretch of season 1. Are you going to miss it?
Yeah.
It's hard to believe. It's been a crazy 2 weeks since we saw the movie.
Most definitely, yeah.
And we're almost at 1,000 subscribers. Should we say that?
Yeah.
And it's all because of these great Demon Slayer people. They're nice and watch the
I know,
videos
everybody's
and
been
subscribe.
really positive.
So let's go ahead and get into this final 6, 21 through 26. Mm-hmm. So you were telling me last time about episode 21. And as Rui dies, he's finally able to remember his human life. And we see that he was actually born as this sick child. And he made about as literal a deal with the devil as you can get without actually making a deal with the devil, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So what do you think about that idea? You've got this sick child. Nobody can help him. Nobody can cure him. Muzan comes by with an answer. It's sort of hard to blame somebody too much, isn't it?
Yeah, especially since he was so young.
And this show does such a good job of making every side of the fight sympathetic, with the exception maybe of Muzan. And it's crazy impressive how they do that. And even his fake family was all a mistake, because his actual family did love him, but he couldn't remember it, and he just had this last memory of his father trying to kill him, but that wasn't quite the case. It didn't play out like that.
Yeah, it's really tragic, to be honest.
I've heard this episode, episode 21, caused a lot of people to get a little misty-eyed, to tear up a little bit. Do you remember if it had any kind of impact like that on you the first time you watched it?
When I first saw it, I felt really bad for Rui. I don't know. It just seemed like wrong place, wrong time, you know?
Yeah.
In another life, maybe he would have had it better.
It's sad, and it's the kind of thing I've sort of seen a little bit in vampire stories, but I've never felt the connection to it like I do here.
Yeah, this one, it's pretty realistic.
You know, the writing of this show, the storytelling, it is way more than I think people would expect if they don't watch it or aren't familiar with it.
Yeah, I feel like people have these prejudices against anime, but this one just completely blows it out of the water.
Well, I don't know if I necessarily had a prejudice against it or not, but I hadn't watched much, but this has got me pretty hungry to watch more. Now, we get a pretty big tone shift. We go from all this really sort of touching emotional stuff with Rui's backstory, and then we go right into what amounts to sort of a fight between Tomiyoko, Giyu Tomioka, and Shinobu over Nezuko, because she's by the book. You know, this is a demon. You're breaking. I think the name of the episode is It's Against Core Rules, or maybe that's the next episode. But she's taking a pretty hard line here. And it's kind of cool to see Tonjiro and Giyu sort of stand up to her and her straightforward, kind of cold approach to it. And then she has Kano kind of off in the background waiting to help out too.
Yeah.
This really made me puzzle about how to feel about Shinobu. Of course, later on, it becomes a little more clear and her motivations are explained, but do you remember how you were feeling about this character about this time your first watch through?
I mean, I understand where she's coming from, because demons, all of the demon slayers, they had something happen to them by a demon which caused them to want revenge, pretty much, you know? So I understand why she would want to get rid of all demons, and why Nezuko's existence would just be bad for her.
Well, they were saved by some crows, fortunately. Yes. The crows came and they had orders. You got to take Tonjiro, you've got to take Nezuko into custody and go back to the headquarters. And then in episode 22, we get to see the headquarters. And this is cool, because this is the first time I've seen, I guess there's 9 Hashira. And we get to see all 9 of them here. And it's pretty cool because each of them are so different. It's really, they look different. Their personalities seem different. Any thoughts on when we get this reveal of the 9 Hashira?
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. And as you see them talk to each other and discuss what to do with Nezuko, you notice how their personalities reflect their breathing techniques, which I thought was very smart to do. It shows the Flame Hashira, he's very brave and outgoing and upfront, you know?
I'm not trying to invite a bunch of people to tell me I'm way off for thinking this way, but when I see later on just how hard they work on their total concentration breathing, I know their personality type would probably set them down a certain pathway, but you got to ask, how much does this total dedication to a certain technique change your personality type?
Yeah, I know. I'm pretty sure the total concentration, though, that one's just a baseline, that will help you like actually achieve the other breathing techniques. I feel like though you'd have to be really determined to actually do it. So you have to have a sort of stubbornness, you know?
So it's like the person, when they go into training, is more likely to determine if they're a water Hashira or the insect Hashira or the flame Hashira, that kind of thing, the sound, the serpent.
It all depends on what works best with your personality and your style of fighting.
Because I have, read stories where a person is like trying to infiltrate the bad guys and he's a good guy, but then he spends so much time there and he's warped by the stuff that goes on that he actually becomes a bad guy. And I'm not saying that any of these people are bad guys, but sometimes I wonder if it's like they're changed by the process as much as they determine the road they go down. It's just a question for thought. I'm not trying to argue with anybody.
Yeah, I mean, if you take Tonjiro, for example, in the beginning, before he started training at all, he was too nervous to even make a decision on how to kill a demon, He was too nervous to even take a demon's life. But through his training, he's eventually learned how to actually do that and become more decisive.
And I think we both agree Tonjiro is destined to be a Hashira, right? Like, he's the best of them all.
Yeah.
So I bet he is some new kind of Hashira they've never had before. I don't know. I'm just guessing here.
Maybe that could have to do with his Kagura, but...
Oh, yeah, maybe. And I was thinking maybe some kind of fusion of more than one type.
Yeah.
That's the kind of thing that gets people to tell me I'm stupid down in the comments. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. But they do intend to put Tanjiro on trial. Mm-hmm. And here is the first time for me that I understand the Hashira are not a monolith. That they all actually have their own opinions and they're not unified and they're like somewhat independent, but they work together as a governing body, and fortunately they have someone they answer to. But I thought this whole dynamic was really cool and different than what I expected, where I thought they all would like feel exactly the same thing about everywhere. I was a little short-sighted, I'm used to some shallow storytelling sometimes, and this is really good.
Yes, it's very interesting how they all have their own unique opinions about the situation. There's a very clear divide.
But we can agree that the wind guy's a real jerk.
Yeah.
And the snake guy too. The rest they have their own lanes that they play in, but the wind guy in particular is a real jerk.
He's very extreme.
And I was so happy when Tonjiro got that headbutt in on the wind guy, because he's showing again and again he's surprising people with what he's able to do with much less training, and I think they're going to have to stop underestimating him pretty quickly. Mm-hmm. But I guess fortunately for Tonjiro and for Nezuko, the guy that's in charge, the master, he shows up and he sets the terms and he sets everything straight.
Yeah.
And they also get that letter from
Urokodaki,
that basically lays out 3 people are going to commit seppuku if anything bad happens with Nezuko, if she kills somebody. Mm-hmm. So that's cool, sets out the terms. But that's not good enough for the wind guy because, like I said, he's a jerk. Or he seems like a jerk. I'm sure. I don't know. And, I mean, he stabs Nezuko, and then he cuts his arm and taunts her with his own blood. But making Nezuko fans around the world proud. Nezuko resists that blood she's taunted with. She shows what she can do. And I also like these Kakashi. Mm-hmm. These like helpers, and they're people who, I guess, their spirit, they want to help the Demon Slayer Corps, they agree with the cause, but they're not cut out to swing a sword.
Yeah, they're kind of like the cleanup crew, too.
Yeah.
Like you see that in the forest. They're like, they want to help the Demon Slayers, but they're not quite good enough to work with the sword, or they're just not like, they don't have the spirit for it. But they still are very helpful.
Every kind of like military and special forces and everybody needs support staff, and they're like the support staff. But it is funny because when Tonjiro breaks the rules, the way that they love just beating on him. I mean, the hands flying, beating on him, pinching him, everything. And it's so much fun. They're like, we promise we'll punish him on the way back to the mansion. Because I was kind of surprised that Shinobu offered to take him in and help him recover at her mansion, right?
Well, I mean, she is in charge of healing everybody, and he is a demon slayer, they're on the same team.
Yeah. I do like Tanjiro's solution, though, because the wind guy stabbed Nezuko a number of times, so he's like, I can headbutt him for each time he stabbed her, because that's not against the rules. I'm not slicing him with my sword, I'm not punching him with my hands. The rules don't say anything about headbutting. It's Tonjiro going to be like the lawyer of the group? Is he always looking for the loopholes?
No, I think he was just fueled by emotion.
That would be satisfying. Like, I wish I had a really hard head like Nezuko, because I can't think of a more satisfying way than to take your frustrations out than just headbutting somebody over and over and over. Oh, that would be satifying. Maybe I'll start training till I callus up my big old forehead, and then I can start headbutting people. I'll practice on the dog. What do you think?
No!
But, a nice touching moment when Tanjiro gets back to the mansion, Shinobu's mansion. The three are reunited. We get Zenitsu, Inosuke, and Tanjiro all back together again. Mm-hmm. And, of course, Zenitsu has those little short arms and legs. And the main way you can tell that they're shorter because his pajamas are too long. Like, they fit his torso, but they're dangling off his arms and legs. And Inosuke's voice is all messed up. It's like really hoarse or really low. It sounds kind of funny. I listened to both the English actor and the Japanese actor. I was turning the subtitles on and off and backing up. And it's pretty funny in both the sub and the dub. But I like that. They took some of his arrogance, his bravado away. And that's a bummer. But I know he's going to regain it because I've seen the episodes that come later.
It's mainly because his spirit was a bit broken because he couldn't defeat that really big guy. Personally, I like the Japanese voice actor better for Inosuke. I just think it's like it's higher energy. I don't know. Yeah, it's just something about it that's just better.
A lot of higher energy across the board, and like I check out both just so I know what's going on. And we see this meeting with the Hashira where they reach the decision that the new recruits just aren't up to snuff from previous generations. And, the non-Hashira demon slayers, just the quality's gone down the tubes, with the exception, of course, of Tonjiro. Mm-hmm. And I think they're making a statement about sort of the changing society during the Taisho era or something, because they said, now unless somebody has a personal grudge against a demon or they're descended from demon slayers, that they're just not that interested in the battle.
And I think the amount of slayers has also dropped significantly.
I think those go hand in hand. I guess when the number of people volunteering drops, maybe your cutoff for who makes it gets a little lower. So maybe those things are going hand in hand. We start having a lot of fun in episode 24 because that is when the rehabilitation starts. Mm-hmm. And we get to see Tonjiro and Inosuke just getting like stretched and beat up and torn up by these like three little girls with Kano kind of overseeing the instruction. And they also play like this game where they got to throw matcha on one another or tea, or
I think it's supposed to be water, but it's like gross water.
Well, the subtitles say tea, but then when you listen to the dub, it says water. So it looks to me like green tea, but I don't know. Maybe English speakers are afraid of tea, so they call it water.
Some sort of mystery liquid.
I like the idea that it's hot coffee. Just make it hot coffee. Imagine what it'd be like to get thrown scalding hot coffee. It'd make you get good at the game pretty quickly.
Oh goodness, yes.
Maybe that's what happened to the master's eyes. The coffee was too hot when he played that game. And I always love to see Zenitsu absolutely lose his stinking mind when he gets angry about people spending time with a girl when he didn't get to. Because he comes to this training that has just totally been kicking Tonjiro and Inosuke's butt. And like the three little girls are just tying him up like a pretzel on the ground to stretch him out. And when the other guys were in agony, he's loving every minute of it. He takes to the game with the cups like immediately, but he's that sort of flirtatious gentleman and says, I would never throw water on a lady's face. I mean, he's loving every minute of it. Every minute of it. I mean, I love this character more every episode, it seems like. And somebody in the comments basically referred to him as a hidden butt kicker. And we see that here because how quickly he progresses at the cup game compared to the other two, because he's motivated by that pretty lady across from him.
Yeah, he is. He could easily, if he decided to like get serious about it, he could easily be one of the most powerful people on this show. But that's just not his personality.
Folks down in the comments have said just as much, that Zenitsu could easily be the best of them, but he just, doesn't want to, or he doesn't think he can. He's got his own psychological blocks.
Yeah, and he's also too obsessed with girls.
Well, I think that helps him with the rehabilitation part.
Yes. And
it's in this episode where Tonjiro starts to show a special interest in Kano. Mm-hmm. What do you make of that?
I think he just wants to, like, know about her, you know? I mean, okay, he grew up in the mountains, right? So he probably isn't around many girls, so it could be that too. But I'm pretty sure...
Well, he's been to Tokyo at this point. He's seen other girls.
I'm pretty sure he just wants to get to know her, or at least, like, become friends or something.
He's got, like, such an empathic soul and empathic heart that you can't tell if he just genuinely wants to help her because he wants to help everyone, or if there's a little sparkle in his eye. And I kind of like that. I mean, I like that you can't really tell.
Yeah.
And I also like what we find out about Kano, that she can, like, explode a gourd by blowing into it because she practices her total concentration breathing so much.
Yeah, that one was like, whoa.
And that's when Tonjiro decides he wants to try to do what she's doing and practice it all day and all night. And later on, we even get a really funny part where he asks the three little girls who, there's no question, they obviously have a crush on Tonjiro. Those three little girls.
Oh, yeah.
And they can't wait for him to snore, so they'd like to watch him sleep. A little creepy, but they have those rackets to, like, smack him with.
Yeah, those little carpet whackers.
Yeah, the carpet beaters from when they're hanging out the laundry.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get a really cool moment that helps me finally get a bit more of a handle on Shinobu. Because she comes up on the rooftop when Tanjiro's practicing his total concentration breathing. And she explains why she is the way she is. That it was her sister's dream for demons and humans to find a resolution. But she actually hates them because they killed her sister. But she's trying to honor her sister's wishes. And that's why she's got this weird, like, she's sadistic. She has this almost robot tone in her voice where she has built this divide in her mind between what she wants to do from her own motivations and wanting to honor her sister. And you get this really touching moment where she basically says, Tonjiro, I'm taking this burden off of my shoulders because I know you're strong enough to carry it on yours, and I don't have to carry this burden anymore. Pretty cool moment. It made me have a better appreciation for Shinobu because before I didn't know what to make of her.
Yeah, she seems cold at first towards the demons, but it all, it's all with context.
And Tanjiro surpasses Inosuke and Zenitsu and how hard he's working. He keeps training after the other two have stopped, and then they kind of get shamed into it. Yeah. Now, Zenitsu, I think it's the girl edge that they used to get him into it. But Inosuke, it's like telling him, oh, I understand you're not strong enough for this. You're not tough enough for this. The old reverse psychology. And, of course, the good old lunatic Inosuke shows back up. And he, what he threatens to do in the subs is much worse than what he threatens to do in the dubs. But he threatens people. And we learn about this quirk that Kano has. Like, she was so broken, we get a flashback to this horrible childhood, born into poverty, an abusive family. She takes so much abuse that she just snaps one day, and she basically quits thinking for herself. She quits making decisions, quits interacting, like they tell later on when she gets rescued from that situation, that she won't even eat unless she's told to. So to adapt for that, now she flips a coin, and based on the coin flip, she does what's predicated by the coin. I don't know, are you familiar with the Batman villain Two-Face?
I know who he is, yeah.
He has a gimmick similar to that, and you can always defeat him by throwing a bunch of coins up in the air when he flips his coin. But do you make much of that coin flip scenario there?
I think it's kind of sad, though, to not be able to make decisions for yourself, not do what you want to do, because you have this mental block.
And I guess if things go bad, you can always blame the coin, though. Like, when I watched it, I was kind of on the fence. Maybe I'll start doing things that way, because heaven knows I make the wrong choice a lot of times. Whew.
I am pretty indecisive, so it would be nice to have a coin to flip every now and again,
Yeah, you can get one for like as cheap as a penny. Oh man, I love the crazy sword maker. And the crazy sword maker in the crazy mask comes back with a new sword for Tonjiro. And he does not disappoint, and how angry he is at Tonjiro. If you thought the Kashiki were really rough on Tonjiro, oh my goodness, this sword maker, like Tanjiro's sitting having a conversation, and the sword maker's just behind him, punch, punch, punch in every direction. He looks like an octopus with 8 arms coming out, punching him, squeezing him. This is great. And the other sword maker, it's sort of like, you think it's a little bit like one guy's to one extreme and the other guy's super calm. and he makes the swords for Inosuke. I've always said I love those serrated edges. Well, here we see that he gets those by taking a perfectly good sword out and banging rocks into it. And then the sword maker that's supposed to be like all calm and collected, he becomes a lunatic and starts going nuts on Inosuke, and I'm having fun. I love watching people lose their ever-loving minds in this show, whether it's Zenitsu, whether it's the sword maker. It is so much fun when they all just can't take it.
The sword makers are very, very passionate about their swords and how well they are kept.
Yes, and the Demon Slayers, well, maybe at least this younger group, maybe they're the kind of kids that would lose all the cool stuff you buy them, so you just quit buying them stuff.
God, that sounds like me.
And that Kagura dance.
Kagura.
That Kagura dance. Tonjiro asked Shinobu about it, and she doesn't know anything about it, so this seems like maybe it's a technique that not even the Demon Slayers are aware of. So this kind of is really bumping up that clever boy moment when I said, when Tonjiro becomes a Hashira, he's going to have some kind of thing that nobody else has had before. And then we've got this Kagura dance thing that nobody seems to know about in the Demon Slayer Corps. At least Shinobu doesn't know about it. And that's really pumping up like, oh, this is going to be it. This is going to be it.
Yeah, that's why she has him, though, go ask the flame dude.
Well, yeah, and she makes a very, very particular point. He asks her about fire breathing, and she says, no, never say fire breathing. There is no fire breathing. There's only flame breathing. But I'm going to bet maybe there is a fire breathing, just the flame, Rengoku doesn't know about it.
Well, the English word for the Hinokami Kagura is the dance of the fire god,
yes,
not the dance of the flame god. So that could mean something. It could be something different from flame breathing. It could be an entirely new thing.
I think it is a new thing, and I think it's going to be what gives him an edge at some point in this story. We get this really cool extended introduction in episode 26. We see that all of the lower six, well, with the exception of Rui, who was killed in the Natagamo Mount Natagamo arc. Rui was killed. So he's not there. But all the others are. And then there's this lady that nobody knows who she is, and she reveals herself to actually be Kabutsuji.
Just disguised.
And why is Muzan disguised here? Do you know? I mean, they would come if he summoned them. He didn't have to be in a disguise.
I'm not sure. I really don't know.
I'm wondering if it's to give us some particular insight into his power and his abilities, and maybe how he can perhaps hide himself so that even Tonjiro wouldn't know he was there or something.
Maybe.
And then out of the 5 remaining lower moons, which I read the manga, I'll talk about that in another video, but they use moons, so it makes it easy. But Kizuki, 4 of them get killed by Muzan, who's, saying, you guys are no good. Only the upper 6 can stand up to the Hashira, and why do I even keep you around? But then inside my head, I'm thinking, well, you named them the 12 Kizuki. How can they be the 12 if there's only 6? That's why you keep them around. But anyway, I was digressing in my own little weird mind there. But one of them survives. And the one who survives is the only one who begs to die by Muzan's hand. And I guess that's just what he was looking for.
I guess so. I don't understand Kabutsuji. He's,
So the lower one was somebody I had seen before because I'd seen the movie. So I didn't realize that, now it's like watching a prequel, even though this isn't a prequel. You're supposed to watch this first, but I get a nice kick out of that. And the way he just bared his throat and said it was an honor to be killed by Master Muzan's hand, that gave me a little bit, once again, I'm stuck in my American comic books and Batman and stuff, that gave me a little bit of a Joker vibe.
I mean, kind of. If you can out crazy, then you're the winner, I guess.
I know, and sometimes it's like Joker just wants to be killed by Batman. But anyway, that means instead of getting killed, he gets infused with more of Muzan's blood, making him more powerful. And then, of course, we end up seeing him later, and people can go watch the Mugen Train. See, I say it better now.
Oh, yeah.
I said Mugen Train back then. The Mugen Train video if they want to see more about that. And then a crow wakes up Tonjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, and it tells them they've got to go to the Infinity Train. That's the Mugen Train, where 40 demon slayers have disappeared on this train. Tonjiro helps out Kano with her coin because he flips it super high because, you know, he's good at stuff. He flips it super high, goes way up. He catches it. I think he told her if it was tails, she would start making her own decisions again. He catches it, and it's tails, and she asked him how he did it.
He said that he was just going to keep flipping it until he got tails.
So I used to watch the Three Stooges when I was a kid, and I learned a trick from the Three Stooges. Before you flip a coin, you say, heads I win, tails you lose, and then you flip it. But they jump on the train as it leaves. On the train with them are Rengoku and the lower one, and we're ready for the movie at this point. Oh my goodness! Took us right straight into it, right? Mm-hmm. It's been 2 weeks since we've seen the movie. 2 weeks today. Does that make you want to go back and watch the movie again? Should we go see the movie again?
We could. It would be interesting for you because you've seen it once without having any context. And now seeing it again, maybe the dream sequences would make more sense to you.
You know what? You're probably right. So here's another question for you. Are we going to do this again for season 2?
We should. It would be very fun.
And what about Jujutsu Kaisen? Are we agreed that's the next one we're going to watch together and talk about a little bit? Mm-hmm. Cool. I'm also going to watch some Attack on Titan. I know you're pretty busy, so I might do some of those like on my own. I got a week off coming up.
I've watched up to episode 18. But like I just started.
Oh, so you're getting ahead on the assignment, so you're good. Well, I think that's it. Thank you, Sophia, for introducing me to Demon Slayer.
You're very welcome.
And thank you, everybody, for being so cool and watching our videos. We appreciate it. We'll see you soon to talk about Jujutsu Kaisen, maybe some Attack on Titan. I've read some Demon Slayer manga, going to talk about that. And lots of other stuff will come up along the way. So thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye.